Anyway, let me give you guys a little space. As you can tell, I can talk about this for quite some time. I'm quite passionate about it because of some of these realizations. But do you guys have any questions particularly about anything I've said or any aspect of veganism?
I have a question. So I'm kind of heartbroken and a little shook because I don't know, when you think about veganism, you don't consider all these different factors, and I'm sure you being vegan for the amount of time that you have, of course, you've gone through and done research and things, and to of course further validate the reason why you made that decision. And just for me, I don't know, I feel like, especially in my own community and like my family and my friends, I feel like a lot of the times when this topic comes up of veganism, it's almost like education isn't enough sometimes, or it's like sometimes they'll be like on campus, you've probably seen them, like the people that show the slaughter videos, and they're like, they'll give you $1 if you watch the video type of thing. And so I feel like sometimes it seems as if education isn't enough. Like the amount of research that you do is just not enough. And so it's like, what else can we do other than like push, you know, the research and push the facts? They're dead facts. Yeah. Push the facts. Like, what other additions can we make to kind of push ourselves and push others to make the transition? Because I'm definitely interested, but it's like, I don't know how many slaughter videos I can watch and be like, I'm gonna change what I know, what I've known for 21 years. I'm gonna change that and be like, I'm dropping it.
Totally. Yeah, that's a great question. Has anyone seen, by the way, this is like the #1 like super raw too much video, Earthlings? It's a documentary called Earthlings. It's narrated. You have seen it. Narrated by Joaquin Phoenix. That's an eye opener. Yeah, that's a. But if you can even watch Earthlings, right? And I can watch Earthlings and still not end up being vegan, right? You've seen Earthlings. That's like the most. I don't know if you've seen a more intense documentary of that. Like, it's insane. Like it looks at how we treat animals. You know, science, right? We do science research on animals, for clothing, right? For industry, food, entertainment, like racing horses and stuff like that.
That's true.
There's so many ways we use them, but that's still not enough. So what it is, I found, you know, again, like I said, it wasn't some noble like, oh, I researched it all and now I'm vegan therefore. No, I actually had to have the experience of eating vegan food and having that moment of like, I can do it because I want to, but it's hard. But then I'm like, wait, I mean, if I could, I would love to be like, you guys should do it actually yourself. Organize I have a bunch of restaurants if you want to try them. Go to a vegan brunch. Go have vegan pancakes, waffles, eggs, but all the things you would have, you know, at another brunch that wasn't vegan, and try that. For me, that was the thing. It might be different for other people. For me, it wasn't the like all this research and education. It was like eating it and then being done and being like, wait, I'm satisfied. That tasted good. Wait, this is what vegan? That's not hard. I had to experience how easy it was to simply sidestep all the bullshit, all that negative energy, being part of this crazy cycle, all these things I wanted to. It's not even hard, especially in 2018. It's easier than it has ever been. In the 60s, 70s, yeah, all the vegans had to eat tofu if they wanted, you know. Now, oh my goodness, like, literally, there's a place called Crossroads Kitchen. It's in, you know, it's in Los Angeles, West Los Angeles. They have a chicken and waffles brunch. They got pancakes. They got pizza. They got spaghetti and bolognese. Like, because, again, like I said before, because all the tastes that you like from meat, for most of us, right? Unless you like rare, unseasoned, blood still on the thing, all those tastes are in the plants. So these chefs who are like artistes, they're like, okay, we'll just take those same tastes that you like, and you like the texture of the meat. And so we might ground up beans, ground up some this and that, add a little water, and they get really creative, and they'll be like, yeah, this is vegan bacon, or this is vegan chicken, or this is vegan cheese. And it's like, it tastes great, right? It's got the same flavorings on it, and the texture is enough. And so people play with that.
Follow-up question. Yeah. The vegan bacon, vegan cheese thing.
It ain't there yet. We're not there yet.
No. Okay.
We have not reached the pinnacle where, you know, food science is a thing. People are working on it. Those are our weak areas.
I'm confused. I'm confused when you know they're like, oh, we have vegan chicken and waffles, but how do you have vegan chicken?
Like I said,
it's not chicken.
I'm confused.
Right.
You just call it chicken,
and it still be healthy. Like, are y'all like?
So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's levels to this,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like healthy, it's not flesh and blood, right? So it's a level down, right? But like, crack is vegan.
Jesus.
So you know what I'm saying? So like, what that means?
Put it like that.
But right? It's all kinds. So the reason I'm saying that is that like, just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's healthy.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Woo!
Right?
That was a hard example.
Go ahead.
For you. So if you had your own cow and you like gathered milk from it yourself, would you drink it?
That's a good question. Like, and you wouldn't separate it from its children, right? When the child was born, you let them stay together because they separate the children from the mothers, which is heartbreaking. You see the mothers pine for their children. For me, at this point, no. And the reason why, I wouldn't say it's morally wrong to do it. Some vegans would. The reason for me is at this point, I think about it like my mother. I love her so much. I love my mom. Thank God she's still living. I love her so much. I'm sure a lot of you love your mothers. As much as I love that woman, I have a girlfriend I love. She's fantastic. I wouldn't drink any of their breast milk. If I wouldn't drink the breast milk from my own mother, whom I love, who once I did, how am I going to drink the breast milk of another species who I was unwillingly taken from? So it's really weird to me at this point, right? When I think about it, I'm just like, no, I don't want any of that. No, I don't want any of that. It's weird. And not to mention in the way that we do it now, so it's industrial milking. So it's not even by hand. A lot of times skin, pus is in the milk. There's an allowable amount of pus that's allowed in a milk because of the way that it's inevitably going to happen. So you get some parts per million that's allowed. So we have pus in the milk as well. So there's all these horrible, so good question, but yeah, at this point I'm like, I'm off that.
And with that, are we like the only mammals who drink other animals' milk?
Not only are we the only animals who drink other animals' milk, we're the only animals that drink milk after we've been weaned off of it. Most animals that do drink milk as children, right, like babies, as adults they don't. They don't they don't do it. Now I understand how in some geographical areas and because of environmental things that sometimes, like if you were in and it actually plays a part in race things today, we'll talk about that for a moment, how it's like, hey look, if it's an ice age, if I live in a place that's hella wintry, food isn't growing out of the ground, fruits aren't dropping from trees and plants, I gotta have some kind of symbiotic relationship with animals. And so maybe a cow's milk was like the warmest, most nutritious thing I could find, right? And then you think about in places like Africa, or places on the equator where it's like literally it's manna from heaven. You have food dropping out of trees. You don't have to chase anything. You don't have to, it's there, right? And so to this day, you have much higher incidences of lactose intolerance amongst Africans, Indians, people from different places. Whereas Norwegian people, they're like, they won't even bat an eye. They drink milk and they're fine. Not all of them, but you'll find that difference because of environmental things. And so there's reasons why it was, but in this day and age, in this high technology age where the world is so small, where we don't have to treat animals as though they're not somewhat siblings to us, as though they don't come from the same source that we come from, as though we made them, right? Just because we're breeding them. I think we can take advantage of that. You have a question?
I know you're against eating animals, but what about medical testing on animals? Like those animals dedicating their lives to bettering us.
Right. So personally, I'm against that too. That's kind of my harder vegan stance because they don't dedicate their lives, right? We demand it from them, right? We are telling them we're not even. They don't have a choice in the matter, and particularly because have you heard of Sarah Bartman? Yeah. So she was an African woman who was brought from. She wasn't the only one. She's not singular in her experience, but she was brought from Africa. So some called her Hottentot. Venus Hottentot was the name they named her in Europe, and they would experiment on her, right? They did this to a lot of African Americans during the time of slavery. Dentists would pull people's teeth without anesthetic. A lot of medical procedures were done because it's because of the same mentality, and that's why for me I'm really when I study the history. Same thing with Jews during the Holocaust. There were a bunch of medical experiments the Germans did on them that to this day, they keep them sealed up. They're like, we don't even want to benefit from that. There's a thing in the medical community where they're like, nah, all the stuff the Germans got from that, yeah, they were dope with science, but it's just so whack that we don't even want to get their results and their experiments from it. So while I understand why we do animal testing, I think there's a lot of arguments, and if you could look it up on YouTube, I'll see if I can find you any links, but where people debunk even the idea that animal testing is helpful because they're their physiological systems are so different than ours, right? Things that are diseases to this animals aren't even diseases to us. So we're just kind of approximating, and it's like very wasteful. It's like it's not even that good. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather have prisoners perhaps who willingly volunteer. We could talk about the whole prison industrial complex in and of itself, which has issues, right? If you guys have seen 13 documentaries, you should. Right, but if they voluntarily volunteer to do that, I think that'd be better because A, they're human beings, so it's actually helpful, and B, they actually chose to do that. But I don't think imposing. I think looking at animals as somewhat siblings, even if they're like younger siblings, that like I feel like a stewardship. Like I have to take care of them. Like we're the ones who have like advanced consciousness to an extent. Not that we're necessarily the smartest, right? Animals can do things we can't do. Some animals can hear for miles. We can't hear a thing. They can see so far. We can't see a thing. So they have their own intelligences for sure. But because we kind of have control. We've been able to control our environments and these animals. I think we owe them a lot better. We've been doing them wrong for a long, long time. So even things like that, like it's not even like eating of the animal actually that I'm against. I think it's weird. It's what we do to get there. It's how we treat them. Because I feel like how we treat the least, it's going to spill into our society. If I'm willing to, a lot of like people end up being like serial killers, murderers. They go back to their childhood. You know, people are like cutting tails off cats and like kicking, like, right? It's like, what's wrong with you? But if I'll do it to this being, it's not a far jump. Like whenever there's been a human genocide, what's the first thing that's done often, right? Coons, rats, cockroaches, American slavery. That's what they call them, literally, raccoons. We're going coon hunting. That's what they would say to go kill Africans. During the Holocaust, they literally had propaganda of Jews as rats, right? In Rwanda, they were calling people cockroaches, right? Because as soon as because we have this place in our society where animals aren't shit, then if we can kind of convince ourselves that this person is kind of like an animal, good to go. But what if we removed a place that we could put hate? What if we removed there's no being upon which we will place such hateful, such negative actions, such murderous actions? We can drive it out better, right? We don't even have, right? Because it's like there is no circumstance in which I will willingly kill another being that doesn't want to be killed or doesn't deserve it, right? Right? If I'm not defending myself or something, right? There's those, right? If a lion's coming to kill me, yeah, I'll defend myself, defend my family, I'll kill it, right? But only out of defense, not out of malice, not out of because I don't care about it. But if we remove that whole paradigm, this whole idea that if it's an animal, it can be killed, then I think that's a step up in consciousness because we used to do it to each other. If it can be, come on, we know it, right? I don't have to fill in the blanks, it's very clear, right? And then it was like, oh, we're enlightened, like all human beings are created equal. Oh, it doesn't matter what color you are, or what race you are. We think we're so like, now all the jobs you apply for, we don't discriminate based on da-da-da-da. Keep going. Why would you stop? Yeah, you think you just one circle out like, oh, we used to just think it was these people who are worth something, and then we expanded, oh, it's every. What if everything is, what if it's, is anyone familiar with fractals? Fractals are repeating patterns. They're found everywhere in nature, in science. It's everywhere. For example, even your body is a fractal, right? Like your, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It's you see it in branches. You see how brain synapses can look like galaxies. The repeating patterns are everywhere. Actually, everything's built on that. It's everywhere if you look. It's pretty amazing. But it's the idea of fractals. So what if that same jump of evolution of consciousness raising of like, oh shit, it's not just one race of humans or one kind of humans that are worth, being treated well. It's all. And then what if there's another kind of fractal jump we can do? It's kind of coaxing us to, oh shit, it might be all the beings, right? Go ahead.
So I know that you had said that mostly you transitioned your world because of how you felt in your soul. I'm actually in the process of transitioning right now. I've been a vegetarian for 20 some odd years. Don't do math. Awesome. I made a choice very early.
Awesome.
So I'm in the process of giving up, I've never liked milk in my life. But I had a lovely relationship with cheese until just recently. Cheese and ice cream are my two downfalls, and sometimes yogurt. How did you manage to transition yourself off of those materials? Because I know that I feel better when I don't
Yeah,
eat
for
those
sure,
things.
right, mhm.
Like, don't get sick, don't need
But the
anything
taste,
solid.
yeah, but it's hard to stay away.
It's ice cream.
So note, also, also note that a lot of, just like in breast milk of humans, most dairy products, they contain something called oxytocin. Yeah? It's literally addictive, right? It's good for when a baby and a mother to make that connection, so the baby is seeking out the mother and has this literally a drug-like dependency on the mother because it has these chemicals in it. Same with the cow's milk. Same, so the ice cream, the cheese, like, you're not tripping, like, that's really hard to break. That's actually, there's drugs in there, right, that are, not to mention the antibiotics they pump in there, that make you, like, almost have a withdrawal symptom of not having these things. Very hard to break, for sure. Again, we're not there, but there are vegan alternatives for all those things. The vegan cheese, it's getting better. It's gotten better over time. It's not the same, especially if you love cheese. There is an all vegan, like, cheese connoisseur place in Los Angeles. Like, I don't know, oh, I wish I knew the name of it, but it, like, they'll have, like, the Breeze. They're not just like, oh, it's some cheese. It's like, they have all the different types, and it's vegan. I wish I knew the name of it. It has, like, a French name. But there's, yeah, look up vegan cheese, like, gourmet cheese. Like, there's like, a shop.
Diet is not where it's at.
Diet is not where it's at. Yeah, I can get by with it because I'm like, I wasn't crazy about cheese, but there's also vegan ice creams. Super bomb vegan ice creams. Ben and Jerry's even has some vegan flavors.
Ben and Jerry's, it's all bananas. I'm not.
Yeah, you're not, okay.
No.
So they're
But I
not
found
only
some
one.
options.
Yeah. And then what was the other one? There's definitely vegan yogurts,
Still
for
working on
sure. What's the other one? So cheese, ice cream.
That's pretty
yogurt.
much it.